Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of The American Dream in the Eyes of Immigrants Podcast. I am your host, Heidy De La Cruz. And today I have a very special guest. I have Mr. Mario with us, and he is going to be talking about his upbringing in Cuba and moving to the US, but then also his book, which I'm really excited to get to. Welcome, Mario, to the show. And just please introduce yourself a little bit to the audience, who you are, what you do now, and then we can get started and what you remember from Cuba, because you came very, very young.
Well, had you asked me that question before my trip back in 2016, I would have given you a very
Mm,
different answer. But going
yeah.
back, trying to find my roots, going back, trying to remember those memories of the first 8 years of my life that were gone, I
Wow.
realized who I really was. So today, what I am is I am a Cuban and I am an American. Two beautiful cultures and languages living in peace and harmony in the life of Mario Cartaya.
Mm, love that. I love that. Oh my goodness. Yes. So my goodness. So going back was able to obviously bring up more memory or remember more things. That's what the book is mainly about. So yeah, just tell us about that. I mean, I feel like with your episode, it has to go a different way because normally, right, with my guests, I ask them like, what do they remember before moving? And then if they had the chance to go back, then obviously that's the only memories that they have. But your story is you went back after how many years was it?
56.
After 56 years, you were able to go back. So, yeah, just share your experience, share all about that.
Well, my case is a little different because it's more of a psychological case that
Mm,
happens very seldom in people.
yeah.
Um, in 1960, uh, Che Guevara has an idea to confiscate all American properties. My father, who was an accountant, um, all of his clients were American, large companies like Frigidaire, Sylvania, General Electric. All of the records of their properties in Cuba that Guevara wanted to confiscate, but even their CEOs' private homes were in my father's ledgers. So one day in 1960, two militiamen stormed into his office demanding the ledgers. He
Mm,
refused to give it to them. So he ended up getting uh, detained. And during that detention, he kept saying no
yeah.
until finally Guevara threatened him and said, Ignacio, I know you have two kids. I have a gun. Please don't make me use it. Give me what I'm looking for. So my father went back and got him the ledgers.
Yeah. Yeah.
And with that, the last things that Guevara said to my father is, if I were you, I would leave the island as quickly as possible. I can't guarantee your future safety. So he he allowed my father to live. For that, we are thankful. He spared his life, but he also sealed our departure from my country. When I leave, I had just turned 9 years old, and the fear of losing my father on the way to the airport, the fear of losing my father as we went into the plane, that fear changed me. It changed my subconscious. And what happened is that for the next 56 years, I could not remember anything. My subconscious
Mm.
built a vault. That's the name of the book, right? Turning
Yes.
back into the vault.
Yeah.
My subconscious built a vault where all those traumatizing memories were stored away from me so that I would not think about the past, but concentrate on the future. It worked great. 56 years later, I'm a very well known architect, lots of awards on the walls, but I could not remember how I got there. So I decided that in order to understand who I am, why I do the things I do, why I think the things that I think, I have to go back to the places where that were synonymous with my life in Cuba. You know, the homes that I lived in, the school that I went to, the park that I used to play in, all these things, and see if maybe that stimulus would return the memories.
Yeah.
And they did. But they didn't waste I never thought was possible. Since I had not remembered those memories for 56 years, I had not corrupted them. So when the memories came back, they came back uncorrupted, exactly like the way that it was the day before, including the feelings as a child that I had when those memories now turned into video happened. It was beautiful regression.
Yeah.
Seeing your parents, hearing their voices, feeling their love, feeling your love for them, feeling your wanting to have your teachers like you so they could tell your parents that you were a good student, right? All those memories. I go
Wow.
into my classroom and I see all of my student friends sitting in their desk, and I could remember their names. That kind of a thing. Just an incredible story of regression that changed me forever. Now I know what was the early things that I learned and why I am the way I am, and the influence that what my extended family had that I never saw again played with me the rest of my life, even though I could not remember them.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. Did what were the what to let the audience know or like educate them, what was why were you able to go back to Cuba? Like what were the events that led up for you to go back to Cuba?
Well, I've always been very involved in many things. Uh, Being an architect and being creative, my creative impulses have taken me to many things. I wrote the Cuban policy for President Clinton back when Clinton was president. And I did it again for some other presidents. And when Obama decided to do his return to Cuba and try to normalize relations again, they asked me to be on that committee. It was a
Oh,
committee made of all these Cubans in Miami that helped them and
okay.
how to go back, where to go, what to say, what not to say, and all that. When the committee left, I didn't go with them because I didn't feel it was proper for me to go back the first time on a political junket. So a few months later, I realized, who am I kidding? I have to go. And I went back with two friends. Um, and it was just the best thing I've ever done.
Yeah, and you were there for how long?
7 days,
7 days. Not long enough.
increasing my life.
Yeah, yeah. Oh my goodness. So how were you able to set up like how you where you were gonna stay, the driver that you guys had? How did all that come about?
Well, the driver was easy because I knew the drivers that were assigned to the Obama group that I was going to be going back with.
Oh,
So I
okay.
just used one of those, knowing that these guys were well vested through the CIA.
Yeah.
There were people that you could trust, right?
Okay.
So I got
Yeah.
Miguel to drive me the week,
Yeah.
and he became a mentor. He became the person that taught me what to say, what not to say, where to go, where not to go, and took me everywhere and taught me
Yes.
what I was seeing. He became a brother. So that's what I use for transportation. As far as the places, uh, my mother was still alive. So my mother gave me a list of where we lived, the addresses of where the parks were, the school, everything. So she
Wow.
gave me everything I needed to find those places. And then I took photographs that she had of me in those places in the 1950s that I would just compare what was in front of me to what it was when I was there. In the land that time forgot, in the land stuck in 1959, is easy to find yourself
Mm,
because your footprints are still there. Nothing has
yeah.
changed.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Oh, and there like you mentioned what you can say and what you cannot say. So for those who may not understand why you say that, can you explain a little bit of why there's certain things that you cannot say?
Well, Cuba is not a democracy. Cuba is a
Mhm.
dictatorship. As a dictatorship, they're listening to what people say and they're weary of strangers. I had a moment that I ran into some of the lower level security, which just go around looking for people who don't belong where they are. I certainly looked the part, and that was something that occurred as I was across from the forest of flags that hides the view of the U.S. Embassy, and I'm going up this red ramp in order to take a panoramic video of the area, which is beautiful. You know, the old Vedado area, just a beautiful area of architecture. And as I'm going up, I hear a whistle.
Mm.
I turn around to watch these three people walking with the cadence of trouble. And as I get down, the guy that in the book I call Popeye, you know, uh,
Yes.
tells me, "What are you doing, old man?" And I told him I'm going to go up there and take a video of this district. It's really beautiful. I'm an architect. It's speaking to me, and I want to record it.
Yeah.
So then I said, "What is going on with you? Why are you mad at me?" And so he looked at me, got really close to my face, and he said, "If you promise not to go up there, old man, call me an old man. What is wrong with it? You know, uh, then I'll let you go." Being the fact that I did not want to go to Cuba and get in trouble,
Yeah.
I walked away. And I never took that video. I took it from down below. But again, I touched somebody's nerve going up that red run. I'll never know why,
Yeah.
but I got to meet these people that make life impossible for Cubans everywhere.
Yes. Oh my goodness. So I've interviewed a few people from that also grew up in Cuba. And there's been also a few books that I've read. And each book that I read, I learn something different, either about the revolution or about the status. And in your book, I learned about those people that you mentioned, like they are undercover, like they dress in regular clothes, is
Yeah.
what you had
Regular
described
clothes.
them, to just waiting and listening and watching to hear what people are saying. But then I think it was in your book also that you mentioned there's also people, like regular people, who will also turn people in that if they speak up against the government. Yeah. So I'm just like, "Oh my," like, this is why it's so like, the way that it is, like, people can't express themselves freely, and then if they do, then there's consequences and things like that.
It makes you appreciate what we have here.
Oh, 100%. The like, yes, there's so much freedom here that we take for granted, honestly, and that we just don't understand. And then those who didn't have those freedoms before, like they understand what it's like to have this freedom. And you even actually also write in the book about a moment where I don't know if you and your friend forgot where you guys were, but you guys started talking about politics and then like the whole restaurant just kind of like got
Yeah.
quiet. Yeah. I was like,
That was a
ooh,
beautiful moment.
yeah,
It went from being very scary when George and I realized what we had done to what
yeah,
how it actually turned out.
yeah.
Um, but this is in this beautiful valley in the west side of the island, and we were having a lunch in this great restaurant where all the food they serve they grow there,
Mm,
everything, including the chicken. You know, everything goes from their yard to the table, right?
yeah.
Uh, and all of a sudden, George and I began talking politics, American politics, in Spanish. And
Oh,
people are listening, but we
yeah.
didn't notice because again, we're used to life here, not
Yes.
life there. And we weren't arguing or anything. We're
Yeah,
just
yeah.
having this discussion. And all of a sudden, this one guy stood up and talking not to us, but to everyone in the restaurant behind him, he yelled, "Are you guys listening to these two?" And that's when George and I looked at each other like two elementary school kids that got in trouble.
They got in trouble, yeah.
Yeah. And so then he continues. They don't agree in one single thing. But yet, I'll bet you, he said, when they leave here, they'll leave here as brothers.
Mm.
And then he says, because you know why that is? Now, he's talking to them, not to us,
Yeah.
to everybody else in the restaurant. And there were about 100 and something people there.
Wow.
He goes, and you know why that is? Because that is what real freedom looks like. And that's when my eyes just kind of glazed over. And I'm expecting at any minute that someone is going to come to my table and take us in to an office for questioning.
Yeah.
But nothing happened. Everyone went back and began eating their food again. The sounds of a restaurant returned, and it was as if it never happened. It gave me hope. It gave me hope that if all those people in that restaurant in a countryside in Cuba
Yeah.
could accept this man's point of view, that just perhaps there are enough people left that want freedom that can
Yeah.
help make it happen someday.
Oh my goodness, yeah. You also mentioned in the book about before you guys were able to leave, I think you still had to go to school, but I think you mentioned like your dad told you not to tell anyone that you guys were going to leave.
Yeah. Yeah. Right
Mm.
before, don't forget, this is right after
Mhm.
everything happens to him, and
Mhm.
we're trying to get ourselves ready to leave.
Yeah.
And back in those days, you know, people would call you names if you were leaving the country. Gusano,
Gusano's. Mhm.
esbirro, all these things that all we Cubans know, right?
Yeah.
And so my father said, don't tell anyone you're leaving, so as to not have that happen to you. Even the fact that I was a Boy Scout, and were uh, the
Yes.
Boy Scouts were um, not allowed uh, anymore because it was an anti-revolutionary imperialist organization.
Mhm.
Of course, I'm not a Boy Scout anymore. But my father kept telling me, "Don't tell anyone you were a Boy Scout because that would make you a Yankee sympathizer, and then you will also suffer." So I was quiet. My brother was quiet up until the day that we left. The day that we left that classroom, and we knew we were never coming back, we could not tell anyone. We could not say goodbye.
You couldn't say
We
goodbye.
just left the next day.
Whew. Wow. Oh my gosh. And oh my gosh, so many things. So many things cuz yeah, these are again like each person that I talk to or each book that I read is just like learning something completely different. And that's also why I've learned like just because someone is from a particular country and you may know like yes, this is why they left, but it's like each person was or in each family was impacted differently. You know, like your dad was threatened right then and there. And so you guys just had to flee. There's other people that the family chose, so they had to request a permiso, and even while waiting for that permiso, like, they didn't want people to know that they had, asked for that, because, again, they would get called names and things like that, so my goodness. Okay, so I wanna talk about writing the book because, yes, you went back, you were able to go into that vault of memories and but how was it for you getting everything out on paper? Did you have anybody like did you do like therapy or did you have a writing coach? Did you have like anyone to help you process the memories and the emotions while you were writing?
No,
No?
no. What happened to me? Uh, the process of writing the book was just such a beautiful experience.
Mm.
Uh,
Okay.
all the memories did not come back in Cuba and that end.
Okay.
Memories are still coming back. It's incredible how the vault works, right?
Yeah.
But as I was writing, the way that I opted to write it is the way I used to design.
Oh.
When I designed any building, you know, I always wanted to understand that the building that I was designing had to have human qualities because it had to allow humans to use it who had a need to be there, right? And so, therefore, what did this building want to be in order to be a building that responds to the needs of those who use it? So, I would design straight from the heart, straight from my subconscious, straight from what I wanted this thing to be. And then I would look at it and I would begin to perfect it, right? Almost like clay. You put it out together and then you begin to cut the little things off that
Mhm.
don't belong.
Yeah.
I wrote it that way. I would let my feelings come out about what I felt as I was in a particular place. Just let it out. And as I'm letting it out, sometimes I would write things that I would then go and check, and I didn't remember thinking it.
Mm.
It just came out from my subconscious through my fingers into a piece of paper. It was beautiful to see myself that way. It was beautiful to know what I really was feeling, not you trying to corrupt it into a letter or into
Mm.
a sentence or
Yeah.
into a paragraph. Just let it out raw. And then you begin to, like in clay, kind of tic tac it and bring it into what you want it to be. But that rawness still in the book. If you read the part about me meeting myself, it's still very raw
Yeah.
because everything that came out in that memory was raw. It was little me and, of course, the adult me.
Yeah.
At the same time, reliving the day that we found out that we had to leave Cuba
My goodness.
and the fear of what would happen to my dad.
Yeah. Yeah. And how was it for you coming to the United States at such a young age?
Well, actually, it was very difficult to leave my family behind. We lived in an old Spanish, not Cuban, uh, culture where we all lived together. You know,
Mhm.
my mother,
Mm.
my father, my brother, my grandfathers from the mother side, and then my uncles, you know, from the mother side. That's the way that Spain used to be, and that's how
Mm.
we lived. It was part of that culture that I inherited from my grandparents who came
Yeah.
from Spain, and we lived that way. So leaving them was like leaving my second, third, and fourth father, my
Yeah.
second, third, and fourth moms. You know, it was leaving extended family that was much more than extended family because I got to be with them every day, right? I got to talk to them every day. They got to teach me every day,
Mhm.
and I would learn from them. So that was difficult. But on the other side, it was exciting to come to the US because it was everything that I loved in Cuba.
Mm.
Cowboys and Indians, right? Cowboys and Indians.
Yeah.
Gene Autry, you know, these guys. Rock and roll. I mean,
Mm.
this was the home of rock and roll. What was more important to a 7, 8-year-old kid than Elvis Presley, right? Uh, the comics, you know, Mighty Mouse, my favorite comics, Tom and Jerry.
Mm.
They were all here. And baseball,
Oh,
the most
yeah.
important thing in my life, baseball. This was the home of the major leagues.
Yeah.
So coming here was easy because the culture was similar. It was learning the nuances
Yeah.
of this country, right?
Mhm.
That became a little more difficult.
Yeah.
So missing the family was horrible. But coming to a country that you liked, the things it had to offer a young man was wonderful.
And you guys moved to Miami?
Yes, we went right to Miami.
Oh my goodness. So, did you guys have any extended family here first, or were you
Uh,
guys no?
we
Oh,
came alone in 1960 when there were very few Cubans anywhere.
wow.
Miami was. mostly American, very few Cubans. In my two schools that I attended um, right after I got here, there were no Cubans older than me. This was
Oh,
November of 1960.
okay. Wow, okay. Yeah, but then what and then obviously, like, slowly, then more and more, um,
Yeah, then little by little they
little by
began,
little, yeah, they started
especially 1963. That's when the gates really opened.
in '63. Oh, okay, got it.
61, 62, you had some people that came in, but 63, that's when the gates really opened.
Yeah. Okay. So, I mean, obviously for your family it was different because you guys had gotten the your dad was threatened, his life was threatened, but I'm just thinking back to like another family who the dad was kind of like, "Oh, we're going to leave for a little bit hasta que la cosa se arreglen and then we're going to go back." And so he was stuck in that in between like but then obviously as the years went by and by then eventually he just had to accept the fact
Well,
that
that
yeah.
was us too. We thought that we were gonna be here for a few months, maybe a year,
Mm.
because
Mhm.
the US, and Cuba have a history of
Yeah.
American intervention.
Mhm.
They intervened in Cuba 3 times at the beginning of the
Wow.
Cuban Republic, and 3 times the Marines left. They never stayed, to appropriate or annex, Cuba. They came, they helped out, and they left, uh, but this time they did not come. This time it never happened. When I watched my father asking for permission from the extended family to bring my mother, brother, and I to Cuba, um, when he finished talking and told the story of what happened to him and why we had to leave and ask for permission, my grandfather went up to him, put his arm around him, and said, "Ignacio, you cannot be a husband to my wife if you're dead. You cannot be a father to my grandchildren if you're dead. Leave here and come back when this nightmare is over." Even he thought it would be a short lived nightmare. Turns out to be eternal.
Yeah.
I've been here now for over 60 years.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. And how has the regime been able to still be in power?
I don't know. That's a big question, but
Mhm.
I would say that indifference is
Mhm.
one reason.
Mm.
There's tremendous indifference about the meaning of Cuba in the world stage, about this country,
Mhm.
um, wanting to help generate change. There's indifference. At the same time, the people have adapted no
Mm.
matter what happens, no
They
matter
have.
how many special periods Cuban has. The people of Cuba, which are great people, they
Resilient.
adapt
Yeah.
and they work with each other. And it's beautiful in a way to see how families work with each other to help weather the storms caused by the Castro regime. So you put those two together, a country that adapts and indifference worldwide to
Mm.
this little island in the middle of the Caribbean. And yeah, I think that that is a recipe for something to not change.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Oh, so much. So, what are you up to today and what is next for you? Like you wrote the book, you said memories are still coming up.
Mm.
So, what are you working on now?
Well, a couple of things. Um, this book, I got a phone call one day, and the phone call was from this lady called Cecilia Hall. And she goes, "Mario, are you the author of Journey?" I said, "Yeah." And then she goes, "My name is Cecilia Hall. I'm an Academy Award winner in Hollywood, and I read your book and it moved me. I think this is the book that America needs to see on film. Would you be willing to help us make a movie about the film?" So at first I thought, oh, well, maybe this is just spam or who knows. Uh, but I asked her, how much money is this going to cost me? And she goes, nothing. Let's do a movie for the sake of our country. a movie about finding peace. Because in the end, my trip to Cuba that I went with so much fear of returning to the place where we had to leave
Mm.
turned out to be a story about my me finding myself, allowing me to have an inner peace that I never knew I needed in a place that I could have never guessed that it would have happened.
Yeah.
Inner peace can be had if all of us look into ourselves and begin to find out our entire story. Why do we do the things we do? Why do we hate? Why do we feel racism? Why do we feel anger? Why do we react in certain ways at certain things? And you might find that those things could be in a vault,
Mm.
and they're making you behave this way because you've never faced them. If you can find inner peace that you don't even know you need, maybe, just maybe, it'll make all of us better and change can then happen. Right. So that's what we agreed that the book has to be on if they're going to make a film. And right now, we have a director, very well known, Tibor Takacs. He is a he has directed over 70 movies in Hollywood. And we have the producers. The movie script is already done. It was done by this guy that Cecilia and Tibor brought in. Again, tremendous experience and did a
Wow.
beautiful, beautiful script based
Yeah.
more on the human qualities of the
Yes.
script than anything else, based
Yeah.
on that inner peace, that humanity that is missing from our everyday lives,
Mm.
trying to help America find it, right?
Yeah.
And we're at a point now that we're waiting to see what happens in Cuba because we would love to film it in Cuba and then make it an authentic movie.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, how yeah, how was that gonna I was wondering that, like, how was that gonna work where if
Well,
be able to go to
if
Cuba and
we will not go now, of course,
yeah.
but if things do change, it opens the door to film a movie. There are many films have been filmed in Cuba, hundreds of them. This won't be the first one,
Yeah.
but it has to be under the right circumstances,
Yeah.
right? And so we're waiting to see what happens. If not, this will be filmed someplace else. But
Yeah.
we want to make it authentic, make it as honest and as true as we possibly can.
Yeah.
We are ready now for um, investors. So if you know anyone that would like to invest in this kind of a movie,
Yes.
the moment is now. We just finished the legal documents that go to any investor, guaranteeing them, the return for their investments. So we're
Okay.
now open to do that. In addition to that, I spent an entire year 2 years ago in the Library of Congress looking to see what was the real story between Cuban and American cooperation, uh, alliances, investments between 1860 and 1960, the day that the Americans were kicked off the island.
Mm.
Not trusting what anybody has written in the last 70 years,
Yeah.
because everything is either written from a far leftist or a far rightist agenda.
Yes.
I've written a book based on the data from the Library of Congress as well as other publications synonymous with the times. No one's opinion
Mhm.
except mine, just the data. When I set out to write it, it was going to be called Cooperation and Friendship. No, Cooperation and Investment between Cuba and the US. After reading all the information I got, I changed the name to 100 Years of Friendship because
Ooh.
friendship, the friendship of the greatest generation,
Mm.
those friendships came screaming at me throughout those 100 years. The alliances, the things that we did to help each other.
Yeah.
And that will change the history of those years leading to the Castro regime
Mhm.
based on data of the times, not looking back and analyzing, but the data of the times, the truth.
Yeah.
And that book is going to be out sometime in August. And I can't wait for the book to be out.
Okay, please let me know. I wanna read I
Well,
wanna
the book is going to be called Journey. No, I'm sorry. That book's going to be called 100 Years of
a
Friendship.
friendship. Oh my
You,
god.
United States and Cuba,
Yeah.
1860 to 1960.
Yes. Okay, I definitely
So
wanna read
I
that
got the
book
movie
too.
and I
Yeah.
have that book. And I just began to write the following book, which the working title is A Quiet Consequence, which is my story. It'll be the follow up to the movie for
Okay.
Journey Back, where I went back to find the first 9 years of my life.
Yeah.
This is a story of how a Cuban refugee in 1960 goes on to have a career in architecture that was good enough to have his story read into the Library of Congress and a
Mhm.
flag flown over the U.S. Capitol in his name.
Wow.
So, how did that young immigrant reach it? Quiet confidence,
Wow.
always doing the right thing. And if a storm approached, you use your intellect to dance around the storm, never taking your eye off your goal. And their storms were many,
Mhm.
but the intellect was greater than the storm.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
So
Like
that one will be the next book, and I
yeah.
can't wait to write about that too.
Oh, I can't wait for all these projects. Can I please be invited to the movie premiere once it's out? Let's go.
Well, you're gonna have to join a long list of friends.
Oh,
But
man.
you want
Okay.
Heidi, I have a place for you.
Oh, thank you. That no, it really is an incredible book. Yeah, it's just again, like I said, like I've interviewed a few other people and
This one.
yes, yep, yes, Journey back into the vault. Yeah, the I've been able to interview a few people that left Cuba also young, but they had not gone back. And so like I honestly, to be completely honest, I thought your book was gonna be the same, but then I was like, "Oh, no. This is the book about his journey back to Cuba." Oh my gosh. So, I definitely really appreciate that. What is one thing that you would want your readers to get out of the book?
The fact that you control your life, you control your destiny. What you do is important. Making dreams come true is important. But you can't do any of that if you don't know yourself. Finding out
Yes.
who we are is what we were born to do.
Mm.
That's what religion tells us that we need to do. That's what every philosopher tells us that we need to do. To allow your history to be stolen by a dictatorship, by a tyranny,
Yeah,
is counterproductive. We're human,
yeah.
and humanity comes first. And
Mm.
finding an inner peace is the most beautiful way for you to know exactly where your destiny is, and therefore dream and then make it happen.
Humanity comes first. I absolutely love that because that is why I started this podcast,
Mhm,
talking to immigrants about their journey coming to the US. Because when you hear about immigration, it's always politics and policies. And it's
mhm.
like, where is the human in all of this? Where are the stories in all of this? And you just answered one of the questions that I had asked my followers. I think it was like a few months ago. It was like, I wanted to hear other people's opinions if they thought that life was about discovering themselves or creating themselves. And you just said that it's about discovering who you are.
Mhm.
And I absolutely love that. Oh my goodness. Mario, is there anything else that we didn't talk about today that you would like to touch on or share with the audience?
Well, I like to give the audience a break of of me talking, right?
Oh, no, but this is all about you.
Because
I actually want to know what is your favorite baseball team?
oh, well, let me tell you, there's a beautiful, story in the book about my father and I.
Yes. Oh,
But
but I don't want you to give it away.
I don't know, but that story, um, is one that shows you how when you remember something, you understand
Mm,
because you get an inner peace that allows you to then figure it out what you
yeah.
did. I love baseball, and that's something that my father taught me. When I was in Cuba, my 2 teams were the Almendares team of the 1950s and, of course, the Cuban Sugar Kings, which beat the Minneapolis Millers in 1959 for the Triple-A championship crown at the old Cerro Stadium, today the Estadio Latinoamericano.
Mm.
Here, my favorite teams used to be Cincinnati and Boston until the
Oh,
Marlins.
man. Until
Then, of
what?
course, I became a Marlins fan,
Oh, okay, okay.
right? But before that, it was Cincinnati and Boston. Cincinnati, because a lot of the old Cuban baseball players like Tony Oliva, Camilo Pascual, all these guys that used to pitch in the Cuban leagues that I used to go see went to play
Mm,
for the Reds.
okay, that makes sense, yeah.
And that's why Cincinnati became one of my favorite ones. The Minnesota Twins, for a while, became my American League team because there you also had other um, Cuban players that played
Yeah,
for them, including Oliva and others, right? So, yeah, baseball has always been kind of a family thing and a way to look at life through a different prism,
yeah,
a
yeah, for
prism
sure.
of competing, a prism of success, a prism of knowing how to lose and win.
Mm,
That's important,
yeah,
right? And think, how can I be better to win the next one?
yeah.
How can I throw a better curveball? Like I threw through that door in my house, but we're not going to go there.
Well, I wanna say that that story between you and your dad, again, I don't wanna give it away, I want people to read it. Really also goes to show that, like, sometimes it is worth it to take the risk because some
Right.
things are just, like, once in a lifetime moments, and it's r for those moments like that, it's better, like your father, to ask for forgiveness than permission.
That's pretty much
But
what happened.
yeah, yeah, so that and I'm sure, like, that's, something that's very that's a core memory, and it's something that, now you can share and
It was a
just be
bonding
thankful.
moment.
So
It was,
yeah, yes,
it was a
that's what I'm trying
bonding
to say,
moment
a
that
bonding
would have
moment,
never happened had
Yeah.
he not taken the risk of a lifetime.
Sure, yeah, but wow, what an experience that you were able
Yes, it
that you
was.
guys were able to experience that, yeah, oh my goodness. Well, Mario, it's literally been a pleasure reading your book, learning more about you, learning more history, learning more about Cuba and how life is. Although I know you went back in 2016, so it's 10 years ago,
Yeah. Things
and
have changed a lot.
things have changed a lot. Would you like to touch on how a few things that have changed since you went?
Well, everything has changed since
Everything.
I went. When I went, capitalism was in. There's the story of me going to that private club with my buddies and then asking everybody, "How can you afford to pay $7 for a glass of rum?"
Yes.
I just started this company. I just started that company. I just started this.
Mhm.
All young people in their 30s. Everywhere that I went, people had hope.
Yeah.
That's the difference. Those hopes were lost right at the onset of COVID,
Wow,
and they never came
yes.
back.
Yes.
And they went from hope to despair, and that despair is where we're still at these days. Everything changed.
Oh my goodness. And even the way that you and again, this was I know that was 10 years ago, but even the way that you opened the book with the experience of, like, waiting to go to the bathroom,
Mhm.
and it was like, "Well, we're not waiting to go to we're waiting for the water to come back." I was like, "Oh my gosh."
In an oncology hospital.
Yes, in the hospital. Whew. Oh my goodness, so much, so much. The last question that I like asking my guests, and lately everyone has been telling me like, "Oh, that's such a heavy loaded question now," but the answers still give me so much hope for our future is, what does the American dream mean to you?
Oh, the American dream is exactly my life.
Mm,
American dream is to come somewhere, have a dream like I had of becoming an architect and then realizing it to the fullest extent possible
yeah,
in a place that um, allowed you to do it. That is anyone's dream.
yeah,
In America, it can happen even to a little refugee like this 9-year-old boy that came fearful and then found his way. And
yeah.
all the people along the way that helped me. That you're going to read in 100 years of friendship.
Mm, okay. Oh my goodness. Also, I wanted I it just came to mind. I also liked how you shared how the trip, because you went with 2 of your friends. You also shared in there how the trip was different for all 3 of you guys. And one of your friends was still very bitter and very upset with everything. And I know that there's still people living with that, bitterness and being upset, rightfully so, because of everything that's going on. But I like how you also shared a little bit of that perspective for all 3 of you guys.
We are great friends, and we've
Yeah.
known each other. Jose worked for my company for 17 years. Then we started a company together in Miami, and
Wow.
then that ended. And then uh, he began working for other things. And then George was my structural mechanical plumbing engineer for like 20 something years. I was going to go alone because of my relationship with American presidents. I knew that the moment that I arrived in Cuba, a red flag was going to go up. What is Mario Cartaya doing back in Cuba? Right.
Mm,
Um, but my friend George said, Mario, you shouldn't go alone. I said, George, this is going to be a very personal trip. Uh, the days are going to be full of experiences and heartbreaks and beautiful memories. Be very emotional. He goes, Mario, you were born in Cuba. I wasn't, meaning he was born here. Had I been born in Cuba, I would have had the childhood that you're going to find. I want to see it through your eyes. A good friend. How can I say no? Um,
wow.
he said, besides, you need someone with you should anything happen to you.
Mm,
So, all right, George. He went there wanting to see it through my eyes. So he lived it through me. What he would have been had he been born there rather than here.
yeah.
Jose, however, likes women too much. And he likes to dance too much. And he likes to party too much. So he saw it as a chance to go party in Cuba. Now,
Hey.
another lifelong friend, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
so
yeah.
Jose calls me and he goes, Mario, I hear that you and George are going to Cuba. I said, yeah, we're going to go. I want to try to find the memories that I've been looking for 56 years and can't find here. I'm hoping to go find them there. Because, well, I'm coming with you. I said, Jose, you don't understand. This is not about chasing women or being in bars or any of that stuff. You know, he goes, Mario, let's have dinner and talk about it. So the
Mm,
next day, the three of us had dinner. And Jose goes, how about this? During the day, we belong to you. We'll go everywhere you want to go, no questions asked. But at night, you belong to us. and you go anywhere that we want to go, no questions asked. And along the way, we can be there for you at night to talk about your experience during the day. I think it'll work, Mary. So I went to my wife, the boss, and I said, Pam, what do you think? And she goes, I think it's a great idea. Okay. So now I'm going to go. Right. So I called Jose and George. I said, you guys better be on your best behavior. Cuba is not America. Be careful what
Yeah,
you do. Be careful what you say.
yeah,
And so we went back together. It was the best thing I could have done for my trip. When you read the book, you'll know. At night,
yeah,
I had a forum to drink with, to talk about the things that happened during the day, and to form a bond with. Right now, we're brothers
yeah,
because of that week together. We went from being friends to being brothers.
yeah. Oh my goodness, everyone, you guys need to get this book right now. The link will be in the show notes and in the show description on YouTube. And Mario, what an incredible story. Thank you so much for your honesty. I can't wait to go to the movie premiere. I can't wait to read your next two books and have you back on the show again to talk about them. Honestly, like so, so good. Thank you so much.
Para eh, your listeners que
Mhm.
no hablen inglés, quiero que sepas que el libro ya está publicado en español. Se llama La bóveda en busca de mi niñez cubana. Y no es una traducción, está escrito otra vez basado en nuestra cultura,
Wow.
en los ojos de una familia cubana escribiendo un libro acerca de nuestra experiencia, la mía, ¿verdad? Basado en nuestra cultura.
Okey. Ya, voy a incluir el link en el show notes para que lo puedan comprar completamente en español. Wow.
Y otra cosa que también tampoco mencioné, el libro en inglés ya se ha ganado 3 premios internacionales y 2 premios americanos.
Wow. No, pero esto es increíble.
Sí.
Es un libro increíble.
Atrás vas a ver
Sí.
las 5 medallas,
Ay, ay,
sí, ahí están.
wow.
Acabo de regresar de Las Vegas, que fui el weekend pasado, porque me gané 1,800 libros, ¿verdad? Que ellos revisaron y me gané the best eh, um, non-fiction autobiography.
Ah, your publisher me lo dijo. Nosotros estábamos supuestos a grabar esto antes, pero me dijeron que tú tenías que ir a Las Vegas por el
En Las
premio.
Vegas.
Ah, eso te lo ganaste.
Me lo gané, sí.
Ah, oh
Hay
my
fotos.
gosh.
Sí, y tú vas a my webpage, vas a ver la foto. Si no, vete al internet, en Facebook,
Okey.
y vas a ver la foto. Me dieron una medalla, sí.
Wow. Bueno, felicidades, y
El
los voy a
libro ha hecho
incluir.
muy bien, ¿eh? Ha hecho
Sí,
muy
no,
bien, en la opinión de la gente. Las cartas que yo recibo son preciosas. Y tú sabes dónde está vendiendo mejor el libro,
¿a
en
dónde?
español, en México y en Colombia, no aquí. En México y en
Ah,
Colombia, a tal punto que ya me invitaron a ir a hablar en el show de Guadalajara, la
ajá,
Feria del Libro, y en la Feria del Libro en Cali, Colombia. Los 2 lugares ya me invitaron a ir a dar una charla,
sí.
¿verdad? Como base del show.
Yeah, any last words to leave
No,
with the
thank you so
audience?
much for inviting me on your show. It's been fun, and that
Mm,
and that what every day should be, to
sí.
finding these moments of honesty
Yes.
and fun.
No, yeah, that's honestly, that's what I love about doing this. I know that there are some hard moments in those stories and people's stories, but being able to connect with people from all over the world and being able to like learn history and learn why they had to come, if there was any US involvement in that, it's just incredible to like learn and witness, and just being able to provide the space for people to share their truths. Like I always say, I leave the politics out. I mean, sometimes yes, the politics do come out because politics does does involve our lives, it does affects our lives, but I'm just all about sharing human stories and human experiences,
Let me
and
leave you with one more then, since you
yeah,
something
yeah.
that I learned, because over and over and over again, I heard the same thing from everybody I met, right? For every Cuban that leaves the island, there's a Cuban left behind that misses them, that worries about them, and that suffers. The Cuban diaspora cuts both ways. It hurts those who leave because they leave their homeland, they leave their family behind, and it hurts those who stay behind because we leave. The story of the old man in El Paseo del Prado who yells at me, Almendares. And I walk up to him, and after like a half an hour of talking about the baseball teams of the
Yeah,
1950s, he said, now you leave, Mario, and I get to stay here in my bench all alone. I come here every day because my wife is dead, and my sons left to go to the US and they never call me. I come here because this is the only place where I can remember them. The suffering
yes,
cuts both ways. We're victims of a government that's failed. The Cubans there are also victims of the government that failed. They're not our enemy.
yes,
Okay. The government is. You can group everybody as one
yes,
because they have to live a life. Think about this. They cannot reach their destiny. It's impossible.
mhm,
I could have never been an architect there because they don't build.
mm,
And the same thing if you're a lawyer, if you're a doctor, they'll be sending you overseas, right? Their destinies are denied. You
yeah,
only got one life, and your destiny is up to them. They're victims.
yeah,
So these
yeah,
days, when we find the things that are happening, think about that.
mhm,
They're victims,
yeah. Oh my gosh,
just like we
yes.
are. We're all one Cuban family. We all deserve to walk hand in hand in a free Cuba. All of
Yes, 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 yes. Oh my gosh, yes. Well, Mario, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you. Just thank you.
You're very welcome.
All right. Well, everyone, thank you once again for tuning in to another episode of The American Dream in the Eyes of Immigrants. This is a very powerful episode. So if you could please take out your phone right now and just share it, text it to one friend, whoever came to mind, and also leave a rating or a review on Apple and Spotify. And just thank you again for tuning in for another episode. Until next time.